Both merge and append are used to bring more data into your original table, but they're somewhat different from each other. Merge function is used to bring more columns into your dataset, whereas append is used to bring more rows into your dataset. I'm going to demonstrate how both merge and append works. I'm going to explain some technical nuances about those, and I will also demonstrate some advanced applications of merge and append. My name is Eugene, I'm a professional Power BI consultant, and let's jump straight into it. So I've got all of my data loaded to my Power BI file. I'm using the AdventureWorks dataset, which is very common. First of all, the use case for merge is as following. So we've got a table for employees, and we've got here department ID, which is just a numbers field, which is not very informative. We can't really use that to form hypotheses about our data. And a different table essentially contains the same department ID, and it contains the name, group name, which are in fact informative. So I'm gonna have to bring those two tables, name and group name, into my employee table. The way to do it is by merging the two tables. In order for me to run the merge, I need two columns inside of each of the datasets, and those two columns should contain the same set of values. So you see how department ID in my employee table has all the same values as department ID in my department table. So this is exactly what I need. Now I'm going to demonstrate how merge works. So you kind of go to the employee table, you click merge, and now you select the table that you want to merge it with. So you select the department table. The final thing for us to do is to select the department ID column in both tables. So now we've told Power BI what column we should use for the merge, and we can click OK. As a result, you will see this new column appearing in your dataset, and essentially each row is going to contain a table, so it's going to contain multiple columns. In order for us to bring those columns inside of our dataset, we are going to select expand, and now I'm going to select name and group name because those are the ones that I need. So you can see that now we've got these two columns inside of our dataset, which is exactly what we need. There is something else that you can do, which is selecting a prefix before you expand. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to expand this again, and here you can use the original column name as prefix. I'm going to click OK, and as you can see, the column names that I've brought now contain the table name in the prefix. Sometimes it's useful. In this case, I don't think it is, so I'm just going to go back and redo my merge. So this now gives me exactly the results that I need. There are a few things I want to warn you about when you do the merge, and especially when you do the expand. The first thing is, if you have duplicates in the table that you expand in, it can cause some problems, and let me show you those problems specifically. So here I've got my table employee department history, and now pay attention that I only have 2090 rows in my dataset. But now when I choose to expand it and I choose to extract the department ID, see what happens. So click OK. Now we've got 296 rows. So it's throwing me some duplicate rows. And the reason this is happening is because we've got some duplicates in the human resources employee department history. So perhaps some employees were first in one department, but then they switched to a different department, and as a result there are duplicate employee IDs inside of the employee department history table. This is exactly what causes this behavior, and I was initially thrown off by this when I first tried merge. So in order to avoid this behavior, what you want to do is you want to go to your employee department history table and you want to remove all the duplicates before the merge. If you do that, this behavior will go away. Now let's look at some advanced applications of merge. So we've seen how merge works when you select two columns, but you can actually select multiple columns as well. I'm going to show you how it works. So in my Power BI file, I've got the sales territory history table right now, which contains territory ID, start date, end date. And I also have my mapping, which comes from an Excel document that I've created. And you see, I've assigned the name of the region to each territory, essentially. And now what I want to do is I want to bring this name into this dataset. So I'm going to initiate merge again, and I'm going to select the table that I want to merge. And finally, I'm going to hold Control and I'm going to select multiple tables like this. I'm going to select the same columns in the first table, and now you can see that the numbers 1 and 1 match between the two tables. Same for 2 and 2, same for 3 and 3. Now I can click OK, and finally I can expand and choose my name. Another advanced applications of merge is when you aggregate your columns instead of expanding them, and I'm going to show you how this works as well. So I've got this table here, and as you can see, I've already merged my sales order header table to this one, and when I click the expand icon, I can switch from expand to aggregate, and now I can choose which columns I want to aggregate. So for example, instead of bringing the full list of sales order IDs, I can choose sales order IDs, and I can choose how to aggregate it. For example, I want to see the count of sales order IDs instead of the sum. So I can do that. I can also scroll down, and I want to select the sum of total due, which is essentially the sum of sales for a particular salesperson. I can also scroll up, and I can do the count of customer ID. So I can put a tick next to customer ID. I can unselect sum and select count. And now I can click OK. As you can see, the number of rows in my dataset remains the same, and this is because we've aggregated some data before loading it. And you can see that we've got the sum of sales orders, which is essentially the sum of transactions for each salesperson. We can see the count of customers, so the customers they sold to, and we can also see the sum of their total due, which is their sum of sales. And we've done all of that in a single step. Now, if you really want to master merge, another thing you need to understand are the types of merge that are available inside of Power BI. It is a big topic in itself, which deserves its own video, which is definitely coming, so stay subscribed in order to not miss it. Finally, before we wrap up our video, I'm going to demonstrate how appending your data works, so let me show you that. In my Power BI file, I've got multiple tables. So I've got the sales table for salesperson number 279. I've got the same table for 274, and I've got the same table for 276. I might want to bring all of these tables together, and if I want to do that, then I need to use the append function. And let me show you how it works. So you go to the Home ribbon and you click Append Queries. Then you will see this menu popping up, and you can select the second table for your append, and you can click OK. And you can see that the new step has been applied to our query. Now, if I filter my salesperson ID, I can see that I've got 2 salesperson IDs in my dataset, which is exactly what I wanted. Now, I need to warn you about some unexpected behavior you might see with append, and this is when you've got different column names between the 2 tables. Let's consider this situation. So you've got salesperson column in one table, and you've got salesperson ID column in another table, and you might want to append those 2 tables together. So let's see what happens now. So we've got 2 different columns for salesperson and salesperson ID, and as you scroll down you can see that you've got salesperson ID in one column, and then it kind of switches. So you've got salesperson ID in the column in the right, and you've got null in the salesperson ID column. And this is basically caused by different column names between the 2 tables. So now I'm going to go to the second table, and I'm going to rename salesperson to salesperson ID, like that. And I'm going to go back to my original table. As you can see, this behavior is now gone. So this is how to fix this problem if you see it. There is one slightly more advanced application of append, and this is where you append 3 or more tables together at once. The way to do that is to go to your original table and then press Append Queries. And here you can select 3 or more tables. So if you select the second table and the third table that you want to append, and then click OK, you can see the new step has been applied. And now if I filter by salesperson ID, essentially you will see that I've got multiple salespeople IDs, which is exactly what I wanted. Another slightly more advanced application of append is when you create a new query as you append multiple tables together. Let me show you how this works. So you go to Append Queries, and instead of selecting Append Queries, I'm going to select Append Queries as New. So as a result, you've got the same menu as before, and I'm going to select the 2 other tables again. I'm going to click Add and click OK. So as a result, you see I've got a new table called Append1, which essentially contains the data for the 3 salesperson IDs that we discussed before. And again, this is exactly what I wanted. So I hope that you found this video informative. There are a couple of other concepts I haven't discussed, like fuzzy merge, and also the different types of merge that are available inside of Power BI. I will release videos about those very shortly, so please stay subscribed in order to not miss it, and I'll see you in the next video.